Hey guys, how's it going today? It is October 17th when I am recording the audio for this, and I drew this a while back for Inktober. My original plan was to take on a big thing and do Inktober every single day. I was going to make a unique art piece, or maybe even just like a black and white ink sketch or something related to Inktober, and I had a lot of things go on. Whenever you plan Inktober out, and I literally had everything ready to go. Themes, I had the ideas for every day planned, and a lot of financial things came up, and I had no time to do them, and I had to work and stuff in order to make ends meet for that time. So I literally only have two recorded as of right now. So I apologize that I was not able to do what I was actually planning. It's a little disappointing, but I thought I would make videos with these anyway, and instead of wasting the footage, just put them up anyway and talk about them a little bit, I guess. So, if you remember, day one's theme was poison, and I haven't really done Inktober in a long time, so I was really excited to play around with them, and I wanted to do kind of a nerdy theme at first. And there's my cat, while writing them out, some of them ended up not being like, media or anything. They just ended up being art or whatever, just original ideas. But the first two were, nerdy themed. If you can't tell, this is Swalot from Pokemon, the evolution of Gulpin. And it was the first thing I thought of whenever I heard poison. So I really like this Pokemon. I don't think that he got enough credit whenever he was released. Not many people used Swalot, and I, for some reason, just had a likeness for him. Like, I liked him, and I bonded with him in the game. He doesn't really melt like I drew him here. I just had this idea of him melting down a sewer drain off the side of a road, similar to how a muck or a grimer would do, I guess. I like the idea of the dripping and the melting and just being in this toxic being, but also Swalot is a lot cuter than Muck and Grimer, so I just wanted that. And I really like the kissy face that he constantly has. Like, it's just like an emoji or something. I just thought it was really cute, and I like his aesthetic, and I don't know. He needs people to like him more. He doesn't have enough fan base, in my opinion. Also, excuse my mic being a little iffy today. I've got a weird setup going on right now. We're in a temporary craft room mess, the room where I do my recording and crafting, so you'll have to forgive any weird videos that come out between now and then till it's fixed back. So right now I'm just inking the drawing, as you can see. I did speed this up quite a bit, and it's still almost 11 minutes long. It took a good while to do this painting. I did not do it on like fancy paper or anything super elegant or special. I did this literally on computer paper. I have painted on computer paper before, and it turns out okay as long as you don't get the paper too wet. Now, at the very end, you can see it kind of pilling up a little bit. So if you are going to do something, I do it a lot for my sticker designs whenever I want to do a watercolor sticker, because I do a lot of those for my shop. If you've ever seen my store, which is Luff and Stuff on Etsy, I'll have links in the description for it if you're interested. And I do a lot of watercolor stickers, and what I'll do is I'll draw a design, I'll ink it, and I'll watercolor it, which I usually watercolor it before I ink it so that I don't, wet the ink, because some of the inks aren't waterproof. But I'll do that. Then I scan it in my computer, and I edit it there and clean it up and everything, get it how I want it to look, and then I turn it into stickers. And I use this paper because I can easily do multiple on one page if I do them the right size. I can also not worry about wasting money buying fancy paper just to do something I'm going to edit digitally anyways, and I can edit out any paper issues or any wrinkling or anything. So it's just financially cheaper for me to use computer paper for something that is so easily disposable for me. And the stickers are all digital anyway, so it's not like they have to be 100% perfect when I scan them in, which they usually do look pretty good as the raw file, so it's not even that bad, honestly. I recommend using computer paper if you're practicing with watercolor. It's a lot cheaper than watercolor paper, and if you're not going to sell that piece, I think it's a great idea if you want something personal. And this purple is very pretty. These are also very cheap watercolors. If you've noticed in my videos, I do use a lot of cheap art supplies. The reason being, of course, money. I'm recently married and I live with my husband, so we don't have a ton of money. We are art professions. We both chose professions that are in the art category, so we don't, we're not super rich. We didn't come from money, but we're fine, we're not dying or anything. Don't mean to make this about money, but it always seems to come back to that. But I just want you guys to know where I'm coming from and what I work with. And my art supplies are usually either what I have left over from college, because I did go to art school and graduated there a couple years ago. No, about 3 years ago now. And so I do still have a few art supplies and a good bit of experience with expensive and cheap art supplies, so I feel like I've had a good mesh of using both, and I know what money is worth it, like which supplies are actually worth the money versus which ones are not. And a good cheapo supply works just as good, if not better, depending on what you're using it for. Like with acrylics, I honestly don't see the difference in the tube versions. Like, I don't recommend using the Walmart like little bottle brands unless you're just doing something for fun. But if you're going professional, I would not recommend those. I would recommend something in like a toothpaste shaped tube, but any of those have worked fine for me. They're not as watered down. It doesn't matter what brand, honestly, as long as it's in those tubes and not the bottles. But the bottles are fine for like regular painting. There's nothing wrong with using them, but professionally, I probably wouldn't use them. And watercolor, I had no teaching in. Honestly, I wanted to take those classes, but I did not have the time in my schedule, and I didn't want to take a whole nother year of classes just for a class that really didn't matter for my major. So I never took a watercolor class. I did acrylic, and I've done oil before, and I really regret not having a watercolor class, because that's one that I've always really wanted to learn how to use professionally. And it just never happened. Maybe one day I can find someone to give me lessons, or I can get an online class. But I still think just a hands-on, in-person teacher is way better. I prefer learning in person than someone on the computer telling me. If it's like a craft thing, I could do a computer. But when it comes to like drawing and painting, I like to be in person. I like for someone to be able to sit down with my paper and show me what I can do, or show me what I'm doing wrong or right. And I'm just a very hands-on kind of learner. I need to see things a couple times. I need to do things myself. It really helps me figure things out. And I know a lot of people are that way. Like, I'm not super unique in that aspect. But yeah, I'm really liking how this is turning out. I'm watching it as I do this voiceover. So I played around with how the shading looked and wanted it to look like a brick, if you can't tell. All of my skills in watercolor are self-taught. I have watched a lot of people do it, but not teaching. I've never watched anyone instruct. It's just kind of guesswork and looking at shading, and I've never been super skilled at shading anything or shadows or lighting. That was always one of my weak points when it came to drawing and painting and stuff. I always did like flat objects or flat patterns or optical illusions and stuff. I was not so keen on accuracy, like realism. I never really cared for realistic work. I did it when I needed to or when I had to, but it wasn't my favorite. Even in my digital painting class, we did a realistic project where we had to do something realistic, and my instructor kind of let mine slide. Like, he loved it so much that he let it slide as realism, but it still was very stylized and not bad. Like, I got awards for those pieces, but they weren't the assignment technically, and he let me get away with it, so I was very thankful for that. And now I'm painting the sidewalk and the end of the sidewalk, partly road, if that makes any sense. It's kind of hard to tell what it is, honestly. I didn't really like how the bottom really turned out. I've never painted this perspective before, so it was all new to me, and paper started to curl. But I do think he turned out good. I love how his shading looks, and I also didn't want to fully color in his diamond shapes, if you can tell what I'm talking about. I liked just having those look a little sketchy, and I just think it looks really cute. I'm pretty happy with how this looks, so I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please leave a like and all that good stuff, and subscribe. See you next time.